David, thanks. The polls close at 8 tonight in Wisconsin's spring election. We're following all the big races on your ballots.
And of course, at the very top of that ballot, voters filling out the open seat for the state Supreme Court, the matchup between conservative Maria Lazar and liberal Chris Taylor. At the moment, liberals hold that one-seat majority on the high court. And your voice, your vote coverage. We begin with chief political reporter Jason Zimmerman with more on what's at stake in this race. Jason?
Chris, recent polling shows a lot of undecided votes up for grabs tonight. Liberals are hoping to expand their majority with a win, allowing them to maintain control of the court for the rest of the decade. Spending has also heavily favored Chris Taylor, who has outspent Maria Lazar by an estimated 15-1 margin. Today, Lazar spent time meeting with voters in Waukesha County, showing up at a few restaurants and senior living facilities to campaign.
That comes in front of
She voted early while Taylor voted today in Madison. Taylor also did some last-minute campaigning in both Milwaukee and on the UW-Madison College campus. The winner will likely weigh in on issues coming before the court impacting congressional maps, data center construction, and even election policy. Here's a sample of what each said about their campaign.
It has never been more important that we have a strong court to protect our rights, defend our democracy and our elections, hold the other branches of government accountable, and resist the overreach we're seeing from the federal government.
The reason I'm running for state Supreme Court is I believe that Wisconsinites deserve to have a court where they have faith in that court, and I want to restore the sense of justice and integrity. I think trust has been eroded in our state Supreme Court.
After the polls close at 8, Lazar will hold an election night watch party in Pewaukee, with Taylor holding her watch party in Madison. Whoever wins will serve a 10-year term on the court, replacing outgoing Justice Rebecca Bradley. Chris and Cammie, back to you.